7. Distance, midpoint formulas, and circles. Learning objectives. Find the distance between 2 points using the distance formula. Find the midpoint of a line segment between 2 points using the midpoint formula. Write the equation of a circle in standard form and graph it. Identify the center and the radius of a circle from the standard form of a graphical representation, and then use completing the square to change a circle from general form to standard form. All right, so I'm going to try to split this up into 2 videos, into the first 3 bullets and then the last 2. So distance and midpoint as one and circles as the other. So remember, objectives are important because they are the concrete, like, can I do the things? Yes or no. So find the distance between the 2 points, 1, 2, and 5, 5. Let's see. So if I have 1, 2, and 5, 5, 5, 5, I want to know, what is the distance between here? How are we going to do it? We are going to make a right triangle. We're going to use Pythagorean. We're going to use Pythagorean theorem that says, well, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And then we'll solve for c. So if I just want c, right, that's the square root. We take the square root of both sides. We talked a bunch about how squares undo square roots and vice versa. So c is now equal to a squared plus b squared. But what is the distance of a? Well, a is 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, or that's the square root. Oops, let me go back to green, actually. That's the square root of 5 minus 1, because that's how we got it, squared, plus, now how do we find b's height? That is 3 units also, because it's just top minus bottom, right? We just did, let me change colors, sorry. 5 minus 2, and then squared, because that is b's length, equaling c. So now I have 5 minus 1, which is 4 squared, plus 5 minus 2, which is 3 squared, equaling c. So this is the square root of 16 plus 9, which is root 25, which is 5, which is c. Yay! So the distance between the points 1, 2, and 5, 5 is 5 units. So that brings us nicely into the distance formula. Distance is equal to the square root of y2 minus y1 quantity squared plus x2 minus x1 quantity squared. Ta-da! Which is exactly what we did above. Well, not exactly. I did the x's, then minus the y's, but since it's addition, doesn't really matter. Yeah, so that's it. Distance formula is just Pythagorean theorem. That's literally all it is. Just Pythagorean theorem. Fun fact, right? So if I were you, star, highlight, make a note, put it on your note card, right? This is definitely note card worthy. Unless you just know the formula, then by all means, use that space for something else. But remember, since I'm giving you a note card, I'm giving you nothing. So if you need the distance formula, that's up to you. Now I want you to pause the video and put it into action. See if you can use the distance formula. Play when you're ready. Find the distance between the points -3, -1, and 2, 3. So let's say I call this point 1 and point 2, although it doesn't matter, it comes out in the wash. Then the distance is equal to the square root of y2, which is 3, minus y1, which is -1. So negative and a positive actually give us plus. Negative give us the positive, pardon me. Plus x2 minus x1, but that's a negative for another positive. So that's the square root of 3 plus 1, which is 4. So 4 squared plus 2 plus 3, which is 5. So 5 squared. So it's the square root of 16 plus 25. Oh gosh, y'all are making me do mental math. That's so rude. 5 plus 6 is 11. Carry the 1. That's 2 is a 3. Plus 1 is 41. All right. That's it. 41 can't be broken down anymore. So there we go. That's also an I. So the distance between these 2 points is root 41. Yay, you. I'm so proud of you. That's it. Distance, plug and chug. Midpoint formula. The midpoint formula doesn't have as an exciting background story. But I mean, since it's midpoint, just think midway through the middle of the points. So midpoint is just the average of the 2 points. So it's x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2, y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2. That's it. It's literally just the average of the 2 points. All right. So if I were to find it for this example here, it would just be whatever that middle point is. Ta-da. All right. I want you, so without an example, pause the video, try to do it for yourself, and then come back and see if you can do it. All right. So I have midpoint is equal to 7 plus 9 over 2, comma, negative 2 plus 5 over 2. So this is, 7 plus 9, y'all are making me think, is 16 halves. 5 minus 2 is 3 halves. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So 8 and 3 halves. And then, ta-da, that's it. All right, so I'm going to make a separate video for circles. So, sorry, just checking. Yeah. So into this video, and then I'll start another